Welcome to Lesson 5 of Introduction to Botany, and in this lesson, or micro lesson, we're going to be going over what photosynthesis and respiration is. So, plants make up over 80% of Earth's total biomass in general, and that most of that plant mass comes from carbon dioxide in the air, not in the actual soil. And what happens is carbon atoms from CO2 are incorporated into sugars during photosynthesis. At the source of it, the sun is the ultimate source of energy for nearly all life on Earth, and then plants, technically. Now, in photosynthesis, the overall reaction is 6-2-O plus 6H2O plus light, and that makes C6H12O6 plus 6O2. And yes, but that is a mouthful, but that is the chemical formula for photosynthesis, and that describes the chemical reaction. And it occurs in chloroplasts, and what happens is it produces glucose, which is stored chemical energy, and it releases oxygen while it's producing glucose as a byproduct. So, the little tidbits that plants throw away are actually what we depend on for survival. Which is ironic considering how much we overlook plants in general. Now, there's really two kinds of photosynthesis reactions. There's light-dependent reactions and there's light-independent reactions, also known as the Calvin cycle. Now, getting into light-dependent reactions, obviously this require light energy. They occur in the thylakoid membranes of chloroplasts. Chlorophyll absorbs light energy, water molecules are split, also known as photolysis, and those produce oxygen, O2, electrons, and protons, and that energy is stored temporarily in ATP and NADPH. And then you have light-independent reactions, which is the Calvin cycle. These don't require light directly. They occur in the stroma of chloroplast. They use ATP and NADPH from light reactions, so you can't have one without the other. And they convert CO2 into glucose, and they can only occur when light reactions are active. And products from this are short-lived. And the fate of that glucose? Well, it's used in cellular respiration. It's converted into cellulose for cell walls, or it's stored as starch and transported as sucrose. Now, the purpose of cellular respiration is that it converts energy stored in glucose into ATP. This occurs in the mitochondria, and it happens day and night, performed by all living organisms, plants and animals. And there's two different kinds of respirations. There's aerobic respiration and there's anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration requires oxygen. It's the reverse of photosynthesis. So you have C6H12O6 plus 6O2, and that gets 6CO2 plus 6H2O plus ATP. That normally produces about 30 ATP per glucose. It's pretty efficient. And it powers growth, movement, transport, and metabolism. You have anaerobic respiration. This occurs without oxygen, but it's not as efficient. It only produces 2 ATP per glucose. But it's important in roots when it gets waterlogged conditions or low oxygen soil. Now, I know I've mentioned ATP multiple times and I haven't even told you what that is. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. It's a universal energy carrier and acts like a rechargeable battery. It powers cellular processes across all organisms. And the relationship between photosynthesis and respiration is that photosynthesis stores energy, that turns into glucose, and then cellular respiration releases that energy and turns it into ATP. Together they form a cycle of matter and energy which enables all food webs and ecosystems to go on and happen day to day in the first place. And then past that, you get into biofuels and biomass is just organic material produced by photosynthesis. And that can be converted into biofuels like ethanol, electricity, and heat. Like ethanol for corn, it can make up to 10% of US gasoline most of the time. You can get it from burning wood or charcoal or tomato waste using fuel cells to generate electricity. And you're probably wondering why we use all these fossil fuels instead of just a bunch of biofuels, since it's renewable. Well, biofuels release CO2 that was recently absorbed by plants, whereas fossil fuels release CO2 stored for millions of years. Biofuels cause little to no increase in atmospheric CO2, and it's incredibly important for climate change mitigation, so we really should be using more biofuels, honestly. So if you could take away anything from this micro lesson or lesson so far, it's that photosynthesis converts solar energy into chemical energy, and that cellular respiration makes that energy usable. Plants are the foundation of nearly all food chains. They allow energy flow and matter cycles to happen, and human life depends entirely on plant metabolism. And not just with food, but from what we build, what we use, and how we even power our cars day to day. Thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe if you want to get updated on any of the botanical content that I post in general.